Always great catching up with my next guest. Paul Craig is going to be headlining the UFC Fight Night card November 18th against Brendan Allen. Paul, how are you?
I'm not too bad, man. Yeah, I'm live from Vegas. I thought I'd come out here early, get used to the time difference. Not only that, get used to that weather. Coming from Scotland, it's obviously very cold, wet. There's a lot of humidity in there. But when you come to Vegas, it's the total opposite. The air's dry, it's very warm, and there's not a lot of rain happening here. So it's good just to come early, get that time zone switched over, and then get ready for business on Saturday the 18th.
Absolutely. And before we talk about you headlining this UFC card, which is just awesome, just your reaction to finding out about the middleweight title fight in your division, Sean Strickland, Dricus Du Plessis. Were you surprised to see the UFC go this route, or what did you make of them finalizing that fight for UFC 297?
I think it's a good fight for Sean Strickland. I think it's much harder if you're with guys like Khamzat Chimaev. I think that's a more difficult fight than fighting against Du Plessis. But he is very unorthodox, and he it works for him, works very well for him. We've seen him against Darren Till, we've seen him against some of the top 10 guys, and he looks very, very good. Who am I going to bet in that one? It's a difficult one, but I think it's DDP. It's going to take it. I like Sean Strickland's style. I've said to you before that I'd love to fight him a few years down the line, but I just see it going DDP.
Absolutely. Let's talk about you though, man. Headlining your first UFC card in Vegas. I know, I'm sure you'd not like to fight at the Apex, but that's got to feel cool that the UFC has thought of you enough that they want to put you in a main event. Yeah,
definitely. As a light heavyweight, I was in the trenches, fighting against the up-and-coming guys, fighting against the future champions, the number one contender, all these guys in the top 10. I had to fight my way to get there. Never getting an opportunity to fight or headline a card, even if it is the Apex. It's still amazing that the UFC have thought of me in this middleweight journey. We are going up against Brendan Allen, who is a very good opponent. But stylistically, I believe that it's a very good opponent for me. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to showcasing that stand-up. I've been toiling as a middleweight to improve this stand-up game. We know I've got the jiu-jitsu. I'm known as the jiu-jitsu guy, but now I need to be known as the MMA guy.
Yeah, and it's going to be just an exciting style matchup as well. But was this a fight that you kind of figured was going to happen, just looking at the rankings? It seemed like this fight did make a lot of sense to put together.
Yeah, it's like that sort of, Brendan Allen is just touching the top 10. I think he's number 9, whereas I'm number 13. I've only had one fight, still need to cut my teeth as a middleweight. So, although I'm looking into that top 10, Brendan Allen's the guy that I need to get by. And it's the same old way, me. If I can't get by him, then I can't hang with the guys in the top. So I need to be the best version of Paul Craig on the night. And I think that's every single fighter has to be that. When you go to a fight, you have to be the best version of yourself. And I believe that I'm there. I believe that this is the best I've ever been. And I believe middleweight is 100% my weight class.
Yeah. Absolutely. And by the way, he is actually ranked number 10, but that's because Khamzat Chimaev entered the rankings, right? So kind of moved everyone down, I think. So that's part of the reason there as well. Were there any other opponents in the mix? Again, you got a huge win in your middleweight debut. I'm sure there was a lot of opportunities, that you were kind of thinking that would happen in the division. But were there any other names besides Brendan talked about for your next fight?
That was the name. When we were in Boston for the Boston card, Mick Maynard come up to us and asked us about this card. He originally wanted it for the October card, but I was coming off obviously the victory in London, and then going from London to Boston, and then Boston to Singapore. So I'd done a bit of travelling, and I just felt like October was just a little bit too early. So I asked him if he could push it later on in the year, and he then offered us the 18th of November. November's a good time for me, we hit that card, and then it's a case of running into Christmas and getting ready to enjoy the festivities.
We talked about, obviously the jiu-jitsu of Brendan Allen. You've got amazing jiu-jitsu as well. Just stylistically, is that kind of how you're looking at this fight? Two really well-rounded fighters, or are you kind of looking at this a different way?
Yeah, I'm looking at it a much different way. Like, I know Brendan Allen's got good jiu-jitsu. It's very effective, the same as myself. It's very effective. But I think his striking's a bit underrated. I think he's a very good striker. He does things very well. He's good all round, and I believe that my skill set and the striking element is going to be enough to just edge this fight. I think it's probably close when it comes to jiu-jitsu. I believe I edge it as well, but I think my striking is what's going to set us apart.
Training camp, who did you get to work with this time around? Who are some of your main training partners?
Pretty much been working at a higher level again. It's the place that's taken me to the next level in my MMA training. Working with Coach Doolan has been, it's amazing. It's an eye-opener. You get to a point where you kind of plateau and you don't really do anything, and you're kind of thinking, is this sport for me? And then when you start working with somebody new who's bringing in new dynamics to the striking, jiu-jitsu, grappling, all these elements, you then get this rebirth, and that's where I'm in this middleweight journey. It's like a rebirth. Going from light heavyweight to middleweight's been a rebirth. So it's the same pretty much. I've been working with the young up-and-coming prospect in Scotland called Sean Strickland. The kid fights at welterweight, middleweight. He's the Cage Warriors contender now. You know, he's fighting, had his first fight there. He's absolutely killing it. There's other guys in the gym who are just there, like guys like Mark Ewan, who are Bellator caliber fighters. So it's about, I've got a very tight group of guys that I work with, and we all pull in the right direction to get me, which is close to that title.
How much easier is it doing the weight cut, already being in Vegas? You got everything you need. You got the PI. I saw you drinking a smoothie before you hopped on here. You got all that, taken care of, right? As far as the meals and everything.
Yep, the PI is next level. And it's all these wee niceties, like can go in and get some physiotherapy from some of the best physios in the world. You can get that recovery with the red light therapy, the cryotherapy, hot tubs, you name it. These guys have got it all covered. You're needing a little bit of acupuncture, they've got your back. Still working with all the same guys that I have been working with for the last camp. So working with Lee Rickards from Boxing Science, who's doing this full nutrition again. It worked so well the last time. Why would you try and change it? Why would you try and, if you've got the gold standard, why would you try something different? So just went with Lee because he knows this game and he knows my body. Still working with Adam from Enhanced Sport Performance. Still at higher level, as I said, and all these guys, all this group of people are helping me become a much better version of me. I'm very much all about the data, and all my data is still going up, and it blows my mind that I'm a 35-year-old guy, and my data with regards to power, strength, conditioning, runs, heart rate, all these things are all improving, and that's the only thing you can ask for as being a fighter. I think the minute they stop, sorry about the noise, man. I'm in.
Oh, it's all good. Hey, listen, appreciate it.
But as soon as these numbers start to depreciate, then it's time to kind of think about, is this for me? But right now, this is 100% for me. That number of 35 is getting smashed, and it's probably getting closer to being a 40-year-old fighter for Paul Beardsley-Craig.
How's this fight playing out on November 18th? I know you feel like you're going to get your hand raised, otherwise why sign the contract, but how do you envision it going down?
It's scheduled for the 5 rounds, 5-minute rounds. I can't see it going that. I'm too big, too long. I just believe that my skill set is what makes this fight exciting. I'm tough, I've proven that. And the questions I ask myself is, I always compare guys that I've fought to guys that I'm fighting. Is this guy as strong as Johnny Walker, who knocked me out? I don't believe so. Is this guy as strong and technical and grappling as Krylov is? I don't believe so. Is he a better striker than Jamal Hill? I don't believe so. So if these are all light heavyweights, when I move to middleweight, then I'm the big guy. I'm the guy that gets to impose as well. I'm the guy that gets to lead with these heavy shots and bully like what I should have been doing at light heavyweight, but just lack of weight made that unachievable. But right now I'm the big guy in this division, and it feels really, really good. I feel good in my skin. Body conditioning wise just looks incredible. I've got muscles where I never had muscles before. Body fat's so low. It's good. It's good being Paul Craig right now.
Do you expect any trash talk going into this fight? Brendan kind of likes to talk a little bit. I don't know if you've really had that with past opponents. Is that something you've kind of thought of going into the fight?
I've not really thought about it. For me, trash talking is like insecurity. That's all that is. If you know what you can do, then just let it talk on the night. If you've got any sort of niggling worries, then that's when it comes out in that trash talk, and that's when this aggression comes out. Our sport is a gentleman's sport, although it looks a bit brutal. It's very much gentlemanly. You need to be composed, you need to be focused, you need to have all the box ticked in the mindset to be an amazing fighter. And I don't imagine he's going to come out and try and engage with these fake beefs that he's got. But I'll not be getting involved in that. I'm just going to do the business, what I know I can do.
Big fight for you here. We talked about this is a main event. You're a ranked middleweight. There's a lot that goes into this, especially if you get a finish here over Brendan Allen. Where does a win put you? Because the division is kind of going through a bit of a transition period. We have a new champion. We have guys like Khamzat Chimaev in the division. Where do you see a win putting you, not looking past November 18th?
As you said, not looking past it because you need to get by your opponent. But I believe it's probably in that top 6 then. Someday I like the idea of Marvin Vettori. He's a great fighter, hits hard, good grappling, good striker. I think it's a nice fight for me. I like Khamzat Chimaev. I know he's probably going to be looking for that title run, and I'm probably not anywhere in his radar. But I like that fight stylistically for me. I think if somebody puts me on my back and they've not knocked me out, then it's a favourable fight for myself. That's where I do my best work, if somebody puts me on my back. But somebody like Adesanya, he's obviously taking a year out. Maybe he moves up to light heavyweight. But failing he moves up to light heavyweight, I would love to fight Adesanya, share the octagon with former champ. I love his skill set, but same again, it leans into my skill set, the ability to take him down and get a victory through jiu-jitsu.
I love it. What did you think today? They just announced that Islam Makhkachev, pound for pound, #1 on the fighter list. Do you think that's the right call? What did you think of hearing that?
Yeah, I do believe so. I know a lot of people don't like the style of the Russians because it's so dominating. They just take people down and just imposing their will. But it's working. And his damage he's not taking a lot of damage, and he's imposing his will on everybody he's been up against. So I think that's probably, there's only one guy that I would maybe put in front of him, and that would be John Jones. But pound for pound for him, yep.
I know it was only 10 days notice, but what did you think of his win over Alex Volkanovski? Very impressive, being the first fighter to finish Volkanovski in the UFC.
I know that is, and I know people are obviously saying about 10 days notice. If you're a fighter, then you should always be in shape and always ready for these opportunities. And Volk wouldn't have taken that fight if he wasn't ready. So, it was impressive. I don't buy the 10 days notice. People using that as wearing it as a badge of honour. I took this fight in 10 days notice, and then when they lose, they can take it off and be like, I will see if I was in a full camp. No, you took a fight because you believed you would have won. So, you wear that badge as a badge of honour, and you have to reap the positives and negatives that come along with that, and that was obviously the loss. But I was very impressed with him. Look what he did to people like Volk. Look what he did to Charles Oliveira. He's just a devastating champion.
USADA's leaving the UFC. I know they're going to be having another, body to sort of drug test all of you. What was your reaction to hearing that, and what was your overall experience with USADA since being in the UFC?
I've enjoyed working with USADA. I believe it was something that had to happen in the UFC to legitimise the sport. There's a lot of, I'm not saying there's a lot of people who are cheating just now, but there was a lot of people who failed the visual test, who looked big, who had the ability to go all day. And it just gives it a level playing field, whereas I'm not the biggest of guys. I'm as a light heavyweight, and even as a middleweight, when you look at me, I'm not massive. So if you've got the skill set and you're going up against somebody who's just big, then they've automatically got a massive advantage if they're cheating. So I'm sad to see USADA go, but I'm glad to see that there's still another enforcement agency who are enforcing clean sport within the MMA. So, yep, sad to see USADA, but bring on the next 7 years, next 10 years of this sport. It's only going to get better.
I know you probably haven't golfed during this training camp because you've been preparing for the fight, but you're going to hit up Topgolf at all in Las Vegas. Have you been there before?
I have been to Top Golf. There's one in the UK. There's one in Glasgow. But with regards to golf and Top Golf, it's like it's business here in Vegas. I'd love to go out and gamble and do all the niceties, but we're here for business. And it comes down to like energy utilization.
Yeah,
I've got a fine amount of energy because I'm calorie counting, watching what I'm eating, and it's all essential. So anything I do, it needs to be well planned. It needs to be fueled. So going to somewhere like Top Golf and blasting like 1,000 balls isn't going to fly with my nutritionist, the nutritionist, the conditioning guy, and all my team. So it sounds pretty boring, but train 3 times a day in the PI, and then it's back to our house to sleep and then recover and do the whole thing again the next day. I did go and get a haircut today, and the barber absolutely butchered my hair. Like I used to have like long curly hair, like up until about 6 hours ago.
Okay.
And now he's just absolutely devastated it. So I'm in some mourning for my curls.
No, so they messed up your haircut then.
Messed up my haircut, man. It's like
that's not going to rattle you for the fight, though, right? We just got to confirm that everything's good there. It's not going to rattle you too much.
Nah. It's actually made me more streamlined, so I can move faster because I've not got hair blown in the wind.
For sure. Hey, Paul, thanks so much for doing this. I know you're super busy. Anyone you want to thank before we get out of here? Sponsors, social media, anything like that? I'll give you the last word.
None at all, man. Everybody knows who's round about me, helps me. I really appreciate it. But we'll get the business done on the 18th, and we'll party and we'll enjoy our Christmas. And as always, it's an absolute pleasure, man. I'll speak to you soon.